من جديد مرحبا فيكم مشاهدينا في هذه الحلقة من دبي هذا الصباح. حوكمة الشركات ليست إضافة جيدة للهيكلة التشغيلية، بل ضرورة ملحة لكل مؤسسة مهمة كانت خلفيتها.
طبعا هالاستنتاج ساقه ضيف الزميلة هلا أبو علوان يلي يعد من أول الخبراء المؤسسين لسلطة دبي للخدمات المالية DFSA والسوق أبو ظبي العالمي ADGM، وذلك خلال اللقاء يلي أجرته معه ضمن فقرة موطن الحلم والإنجاز.
طبعا المقابلة تطرقت إلى أهمية وجود هيكل حقيقي وفعال للحوكمة ووجود مجلس إدارة متكامل وكفؤ، كما تم التطرق إلى فعالية التنفيذ في الإمارات العربية المتحدة والشرق الأوسط وعلى المستوى الدولي.
بيسعدنا أن يكون معنا اليوم السيد جان بليدن، الشريك الإداري لشركة عقيدة الحوكمة. Good morning, Jan. Great to have you here.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. And how are you? And welcome to Dubai. I know you had business trips back to back.
Landed back this morning, taking off again Monday morning.
Thank you for coming despite all the busy schedule. Jan, like your history of work, you either set up authorities or were the founding member of authorities, or you empowered authorities, or you empowered private public sector in general in many elements, specifically corporate governance. Tell us about this history.
The family started in the UAE back in 1972. So there's been a long history with the UAE. I came back to Dubai in 2001 and ended up joining the Dubai Financial Services Authority, which is one of the three pillars for the DIFC, back in 2004, and spent 9 years as the founding chief operating officer, build the financial services regulator for the DIFC. So that was the first one.
Yeah, amazing. And then after that, like you did some work in the UAE, or you expanded to the GCC?
I wanted to take some time off with the family. Yes. And a few weeks later I was recruited by Ahmed Al-Sayeg, His Excellency, who's now Minister of State, and I helped Abu Dhabi spearhead and launch Abu Dhabi Global Market, which was their financial centre as well. So both financial centres in the UAE plus the financial services regulator.
Impressive. And I know in addition to this serious role, you have another hobbies, like my special intel told me about that. You had certain hobbies which is not related to governance, not related to authorities. What are they?
So I think there's three passions.
Yeah.
The first passion, and in reverse order, there's three passions. The first passion is contributing to the long-term economic success of the region. The second passion, not in any order, is family. Yes. And then the third passion, which is the one you're referring to, is polo and horses. Yes. So yes, there is a long history of polo and horses in the family, and I've now actually got my children involved in polo as well. So my daughter just recently won, as the youngest player in the tournament, the Open for the ladies tournament here in Dubai at Desert Palm.
Congratulations.
So at the age of 12. But she had a very good team with her as well. So it was very good teamwork.
Amazing, and congratulations to her and to the family. So moving from horses back to the corporate governance, I know like sometimes we had this misconception of corporate governance, specifically over the years. People thought corporate governance is something you need to have to satisfy regulatory requirement, and it's an additional cost. It doesn't have value. Some of the perceptions were there. But because of economic failures and all of that, it's proven to be no. Corporate governance is the skeleton of every organization. I know you work at a global level and also Middle East level. What's the status globally, and what's the status here in the region?
Let's start with your first comment in terms of the costs of corporate governance. And any corporate governance advisor globally will understand very, very quickly that the benefits of good corporate governance substantially outweigh the costs. So when we're looking at attracting foreign direct investment to the region with institutional investors, the first thing they're going to be looking at is our transparency levels, our governance levels, our ethics levels, our behavior levels. So it's not just giving you access to cheaper capital, it's actually fundamentally generating a lot more additional value. Now, onto your second point, which is the evolution of corporate governance in the region. So over the last 15 years, both up and down the whole of the GCC, we've seen a strong evolution in terms of rules, codes, governance requirements from the regulators.
Yes.
And in the last 5 or 6 years, we've now actually started to see the implementation.
Yeah.
And there are organizations suddenly starting to perceive the good value of having a strong board, good policies, strong oversight, transparent reporting, and as a consequence, the ability to attract the foreign investors.
Yes.
And the foreign institutional investors is one thing, but you actually generate a higher return on investment for your shareholders.
Absolutely.
So it started with the banking industry and the
Yeah.
insurance industry because they were highly regulated, and we're now starting to see the evolution of required corporate governance right down into the family business sector. And
So it's not restricted anymore with financial businesses at all?
no, one of the challenges we're going to have in the region in the next 10 years is we have two fundamental drivers for our economic growth.
Yes.
One is state-owned enterprises, the other
Yes.
one is family businesses.
Yes.
And ensuring that we get the intergenerational transition from the first to the second and the second to the
Yeah.
third of our family business is going to be critical for GDP,
Yes.
but it's also going to be critical for employing our youth in the Middle East as well.
Yeah, and we're seeing actually lots of traction with the also regulatory evolution, the new laws which
Yeah.
is set on corporate governance and family businesses specifically.
So new laws have changed, codes of governance have come out for family businesses. Saudi has just come out with a new
Yes.
2023. And in Saudi law, they've just come out with something that impacts boards and board members, which we had in the West, which is called the business judgment rule.
Yeah.
And the business judgment rule actually allows for protection for board members
Yes.
if they've made what they thought was the best decision independently with the best information they had in front of a court of law. The judge will now find in your favor. The reason being that otherwise board members will never ever take a risk because the personal liability is on them.
Actually, that actually brings me to a question, just like a curiosity. How do you see the receptivity of board members who's been in their position for many years and doing things and it's working? How do you convince them, like, despite it was working, it's good to change? I think we have this resistance sometimes, right?
We've seen 3 phases in the evolution of corporate governance. The pre-2000, which was it's prestigious to be a board member.
Yes.
It's your end of career. You have a nice business card that says you're a board member.
It's prestigious.
You go along to 4 lunches maybe and a few hours of board meetings.
Yeah, it's a title.
Then from 2000 to 2008, there was a lot more focus on the fiduciary role, the fiduciary responsibility. We started to look at skill set mixes around
Yes.
boards. Then we had the global financial crisis.
Of course.
And these days, boards are really focused on value creation.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a lot more effort in terms of strategy. There are 4 things boards do.
And
They
this
set-
is also, Jan, what you work on in your projects, right? Your board
So this is the
evaluation,
professional side.
board assessment. Yeah, if you can tell me about that.
So Governance Creed, we focus on everything from building governance frameworks and subsidiary governance frameworks to the implementation, to boardroom skill set mixes. Good boards don't happen by accident.
100%.
Good boards happen by design. And there's a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure that we get the right skill set mix, the right background, the right know-how, the knowledge, the experience to be able to contribute to the strategy generation and the value creation for these
Yeah.
organizations.
So you do, just to know, the products you mainly focus on board evaluation, board assessment, remuneration committees. You help also select boards, like you advise on which board fits with
So
committees and
what
all
we
that.
will do is we will, with the NRC, come up with the skill set mixes and profiles.
Yes.
We generally have a preference for a firm then to use their own executive search firm to make sure that we're completely independent from the selection process. We'll let the executive search firms do the shortlists. If we're asked to participate in terms of some of the evaluations or some of the interviews, we will do so. But at the end of the day, it's really down to the client's shareholders
Yes.
to actually appoint the board members.
Absolutely. And Jan, to wrap up our conversation, I know it's a huge topic, corporate governance, but for people tuning in now, whether they are authorities, family businesses, people setting up something or want to restructure something, they want to have a tip, or more than one tip, whatever you like, on how to create a healthy corporate governance. What are those tips?
Let's start with a very simple definition. A definition of corporate governance is it's the systems by which you direct and control an organization. It's that simple. I think I mentioned it earlier on, good boards don't happen by accident.
They happen by design.
Happen by design.
Yeah.
So making sure that you've got the strength on your nominations and remuneration committee to be able to understand the diversity, and I'm not just talking male-female diversity, I'm talking skill set mixes, cultural backgrounds, industry experience and know-how. The more diverse your board team is, the better the decisions they will make. The better the decisions they will make, the higher the return on investment you will generate for your stakeholders. It's actually quite simple.
So true, so true. Thank you so much for the tips, Jan Bladen, and good luck with empowering the corporate governance. I know that if we search about your name through ChatGPT, it says Jan Bladen, the corporate governance guru. So ChatGPT knows everything.
Thank you, Hala. A real pleasure.
Thank you so much for being with us today.